Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to Rad Dreams Review. As always, I'm Rad Dreams, and today we're going to talk about some anime. That's right, it's going to be a little bit different from our normal stuff, where I'm going to be talking about some original content offered by Netflix, actually. For those of you who do not know, the Record of Ragnarok recently released on Netflix. It is a original series developed by them, and it first started in 2017 as a manga or comic, if you will, and it just got serialized by Netflix and animated, and now we get to watch it and enjoy. Overall, I was very entertained by this show. I binge watched it in one sitting. I was just like, you know what? I need to watch this. And as soon as I started, I just ran right through it, couldn't put it down, finished it. And today will be kind of all about that. So hopefully you enjoy. Before I get into it, make sure you like, comment, and do subscribe to the channel, and feel free to share amongst your friends if you agree, if you disagree. Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts about Record of Ragnarok? What do you think of original Netflix anime in general? Does it slap? Does it not slap? Is it good? Is it bad? All that awesome stuff. So let's dive right in to Record of Ragnarok. So as we kind of go into the story, it is fairly simple. It follows this kind of tale of the gods versus humanity. So in our first episode, we are introduced to a council of the sorts where all sorts of gods are in attendance, and they are voting on the fate of humanity. They kind of get this inkling that humanity is not learning from their mistakes. And as such, they feel it would be more advantageous to just wipe the slate clean, if you will, by exterminating all of humankind and restarting, from the beginning. Let's see if the second time around goes better for humans, right? So they take a vote, and all of the gods unanimously agree that, yes, we should exterminate humanity. We'll just leave it at that. Go on with our merry business. So as the chairman begins to slam down his gavel, which the chairman is Zeus, which he is considered the, kind of quote unquote father of the Greek mythos. He's about to slam it down, and then all of a sudden, a Valkyrie from Norse mythology bursts into the chambers and objects to this vote just as he's about to hit. And for those of you who do not know, Valkyries are these sort of battle angels, if you will, from Norse mythology that guide the souls of warriors who have fallen in battle to the gates of Valhalla, which is the equivalent to, heaven, more or less, for them. Essentially, if you are a warrior, according to Norse myth, and you fall in battle, you are carried off to the gates of Valhalla by a Valkyrie, where you can just bask in your glory. You got your food, you got your wine, you got women, men, whatever the case may be. It is quintessentially your heaven, and it is the ultimate goal for a warrior, is to die honorably, go to Valhalla. So this Valkyrie, as my glasses fly off my face, as the Valkyrie bursts into the chamber, she immediately objects and poses a question to the gods. She's just like, okay, well, how would you guys like this instead? What if you were to give humanity a fighting chance? After all, they're humans. There's no way that they could defeat a god. And so she proposes that they do Ragnarok, quote unquote. Ragnarok is a tournament. 13 gods versus 13 humans. First one to 7 wins wins it all. So if the humans win, they do not get exterminated and get to live for the next 1,000 years. If the gods win, the humans get exterminated and they just restart, right? So the gods are just like, you know what? Maybe, but why? And so the Valkyrie kind of goads them and is just like, so you're not going to give these humans a fighting chance, huh? That's so surprising that you're just going to do it without any effort. You wouldn't happen to be chicken, would you? And so, they obviously get triggered by the chicken comment. It's almost as if they're Marty McFly from Back to the Future, where Biff Tannen is just like, what are you, chicken? And then, he obviously, Marty gets triggered by the chicken name calling and inevitably makes bad decisions. That's the whole plot of the second Back to the Future film, where in the future, Marty's son is enlisted in I think it was a robbery by Biff Tannen's son, I think. Or it's a distant relative or something or the other. Anywho, he's related to Biff somehow. So he asks Marty's son, like, hey, are you in or are you out? And so, Marty's son is just like, you know what, Biff, I'm out. And then Biff's descendant is just like, oh, what are you, chicken? And then that, goads him. And so essentially that's what happens to the gods is, they get triggered by the chicken word. And then they're like, okay, fine, we'll do your Ragnarok. 13 gods versus 13 humans. And the one caveat is that the humans can be from anywhere in human history, which is super fascinating to me. And the choices that they use for the humans to do battle with the gods is really, really cool. A lot of choices I wasn't expecting. So Zeus concludes that, hey, this is gonna happen. So he issues the motion. So it goes in order. The Valkyrie, Broomhilda, which, from mythology, is like this princess that needs to be rescued. And I think it's stems from Germany, if I'm not mistaken. I know, what's his face in, Django Unchained, Christoph Waltz's character. He, has this whole story about Broomhilda, and he kind of goes into that. So if you want to know who that is, feel free to watch Django Unchained, phenomenal movie, or just Google Broomhilda to get more context as to who she is historically. I don't quite know off the top of my head. So she's enlisted to round up the fighters for humanity, which she does, and then it cuts to the first bout. From this point forward, it will be kind of like spoiler-ish territory because I'm going to reveal who the fighters are in the first season. I'm not going to reveal who wins. You need to watch it to find out. But the first fight is between Thor, the god of thunder in Norse mythology, and surprisingly Lu Bu, which I was so hype about. And he's riding red hair onto the battlefield. I'm just like, Lu Bu! I'm a huge, huge Dynasty Warriors nut. I love Chinese mythology and I love Chinese lore. Lu Bu is one of the best warriors from the Three Kingdoms, and he is enlisted to do battle against Thor. And in attendance while watching this grand spectacle are other gods, such as Ares, such as Loki, such as Aphrodite, Odin, and the announcer, who is the MC of it all, is Heimdall, who is the kind of gatekeeper in Norse mythology. And he gets to blow his horn to signal the start of Ragnarok. And whoever is his voice actor in the Japanese dub does a phenomenal job of just adding energy and just excitement to his character. He just does a really impeccable job. Kudos to him. Every single fight, he just ups the ante of his announcements. Super, super cool. So the first fight, Thor versus Lu Bu. Awesome. It's fun. And then the second fight threw me for a loop. I was very, very surprised by this because initially I wasn't expecting it, because they were like, oh, it's going to be Zeus of all people versus the father of all humanity. So I'm like thinking to myself, father, man, is it Jesus? Because they said father, and I'm like, it can't be Jesus. It can't be. They wouldn't do that. And then they proceeded to say he committed the first sin, or like the original sin. So I'm like, oh, okay, it's Adam. And it turns out I was right. It was Adam, from Adam and Eve. The whole story with that. And the whole rationale behind that is just like Adam was created in God's image. So essentially he has godlike abilities because he was made in, God's image. So he fights against Zeus. Awesome fight. Highly, highly entertaining. Then the third fight is between a samurai named, it was like Sajiro Kanoto or something like that. I forget how to pronounce his name, but it's like Sajiro of something or other. I don't know off the top of my head if he's an actual like samurai, because at first I thought that they were going to use like Musashi, because Musashi is very well known. It turns out that this guy fought against Musashi, and he's like heralded as the quote like greatest loser of all time because he has never like won a fight in his life. And the whole like gimmick behind his character is that, with every loss, he learns something. And this is bothering me. I need to look up his name. Record of Ragnarok. Characters. So I was almost there. It wasn't Sajiro. It was Sasaki Kojiro. So, bit of a jumble there. So I apologize about that. But yeah, that fight was between him and Poseidon, the god of the sea. And that fight was probably my favorite out of all of them. It was between that and the Adam versus Zeus. Very exciting. It was very cool to watch. High energy, made you hype. And it left off on a cliffhanger for the next fight, for round 4, which was Jack the Ripper versus Hercules. So I was just like, okay, I can fuck with that. And like the design choices that they use for these gods in anime form is super cool. I really enjoyed how they depicted a lot of these gods. So I have no qualms with that. My only qualm was with the simplistic story, as well as the lackluster animation at times. So in certain points during the show, it suffered pretty heavily from like stills, where instead of like animating the like actual like fight, it would show stills. It almost harkened to a PowerPoint presentation. You have a flat still picture of one of the characters, and then there's sound to evoke that they're doing something. Or it'll cut to the audience, and then it'll have these like fighting sounds, like like fists, So that aspect I didn't quite enjoy. I do wish that the animation quality was a little bit better. Not to say it was awful, because it's not. It's not awful. It just could have been better. Had it been, elevated ever so slightly, it would have added to it. A couple like tongue-in-cheek things that I enjoyed were Odin. Actually, he had his 2 ravens on his shoulder, one black and one white. And from Norse mythology, that is pretty accurate. Those are his, all-seeing ravens. So that was really cool that they did a nod to that. And then like another tongue-in-cheek thing that was pretty comical in my opinion was the depiction of Aphrodite. And it's funny to me watching it, because when they depict the epitome of beauty according to Norse mythology, they decide to make her tits just massive. Like they're just unproportionately huge. Her back has got to be killing her. But in order to hold up these large breasts, she has these like two statues or like these two figures like literally like holding them while she's just like sitting down just chilling. Like these dudes are just like holding them up with their hands. I'm just like, okay, that's different. So that was a little bit odd and weird, but it was kind of comical at the same time. In terms of like the action sequences and the choreography, it was done pretty well. They did use a lot of recycled animations, which is fine. You know, a lot of shows do that to save on, you know, their budget. So I understand the implementation of that. So that wasn't like a big deal. It wasn't make or break. It was just that, like I said, the simplistic story and the animation. Voice acting was very good. I haven't watched the English dub, so I can't comment on that. I watched it in Japanese, and that was, that was very well done. So I have no issues with the voice acting in terms of the like opening and ending. They're all right. You know, that they didn't like slap or anything, but they were still decent. Other than that, it was a solid watch. I would recommend watching it if you are a anime enthusiast or like shonen or just like tournament arcs, because it's a whole anime that is dedicated to a tournament. So nothing wrong there. But yeah, overall, I would give it a 7 out of 10. So it's pretty average, mid-range anime. Definitely recommend watching it though if you haven't. So definitely check it out. So other than that, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. So hope you guys enjoyed my kind of, you know, hot take on Record of Ragnarok on Netflix. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Hopefully we can hit 200 subscribers. That would be super dope. Very exciting times would be had if we reach that milestone. So with that being said, I've been Rad Dreams, and I hope all of you stay safe out there. And above all else, I hope you stay rad.